this is architect Marc from the first studio, and now I'm going to interview him. Okay. So we know about the various professional experience you gained. Now we'd like to ask you how did you combine so different architecture approaches? As you know that you worked for Oma and the partner, he worked for Oscar.
So tell me, what exactly was the question again? So
okay. How did you combine so different architecture approaches?
How we brought those together?
Yeah. Your different experiences.
Yeah. I think there's early before we started the office, I think there's kind of a process of where you kind of start to, you as a student or as a, after you go to school, you start to investigate all sorts of possible ways of how you can practice and think about architecture. You work with different people and get a sense and develop an idea of what you think is strong about certain ways and practices and whatnot. And I think so we both took very different ways into that, and then found a couple of things that we brought from these places into our work. I'm sure that answers your question.
Okay. So next question is, we know that your main studio office is in Berlin, and that you also studied in Germany, but actually you work in 3 continents. And so, do you think that a German cultural background can characterize or influence quite deeply the way you used to approach architecture as you will?
That's a good question. I don't think that our main, it's not that our main office is in Berlin. We're at the same, Santiago is in the same way. So depending on who asks, we're either a German office or we're a Chilean office, or we're kind of an international office, or we're a German-Chilean offices, or we're between the Americas and Germany. It always depends on the context. Now, do I think that my way of working is particularly German? No, I wouldn't think. The larger part of my education was somewhere else. It was in the US, larger part of the US. It was a little bit in Italy, a little bit in Germany too. I think it's difficult to identify something particularly German, I think, about this approach. But I think there is something to be said. How we work is that no matter if we're working on a project in South America or in anywhere in Europe, there's something that we do know very intricately because we're inside. We're in Berlin, we work on a project in Berlin. Or we're working in Santiago, we're in Santiago, but at the same time we're far away, we can look at it from the long perspective. So there's kind of both knowing it very specifically because we live in that world, but we can also step back and kind of look differently at it. And I hope that characterizes our work, because we're not particularly interested in taking a German approach or any approach and then trying to export one idea of architecture and go to all these places. I would hope that there's a strange crossbreed between something Chilean in mentality, something German in mentality, something American mentality in architecture. I think that's the hope that we have for the work. Also, consider there's people from all sorts of places in the world in the office. So it's not it's not a single idea, a single author to all the things. So there's certainly Germans in the office, there's Latin American people in the office, there's people from the US, Israel, and so on. They all bring their own perspective on things. Well, yeah, they bring, they have certain backgrounds that certain approaches to which work.
How did your career start after graduation?
You wonder about that?
Yeah, we are students, we are young students, maybe young architects, so maybe you can give some advice advice for us?
Well, ultimately, I mean, there is not one cooking recipe on that you can follow, but I mean, I can from my personal experience, I graduated 2004, like 10 years ago, in the US, and then I came back to Germany. At that time, the economy was very difficult. There was lots of interns, but a few jobs. I finally found something. During the day, I freelanced with somebody else. But at the same time, I just started at night to work by myself. Oh, with Mario at the time. He was in South America. I was in Germany, and we started to work on the wall house. Always, till 8 p.m. work for somebody else, and at night start their own thing. It was not an office anymore. It was an attempt to kind of find a personal path, both architecturally as well as professionally, within something that's quite. You got thrown into cold water. And so something that wasn't an office, it was two people trying to find a way, and over many years it has materialized and kind of became a practice, a real office, but it took many years. And so, I mean, I think at this point, I mean, from my personal experience, there was never a master plan on, we're going to do exactly this and this and this, but there was always kind of be really carefully, like actually working on a project. Keep your eyes and ears open and find these little niches and these odd moments, and suddenly we found ourselves designing in Germany and building in South America. I mean, at the time, as a young practice in South America, we could actually build, we could work. Something in Germany was impossible. So suddenly that emerged as a possibility, just out of the oddness of Mario being there, or being Chilean, and me being back in Germany. So, and then out of that, then emerged a practice that works somewhere between South America and Germany. And so things come into place. You just look out and you do it, and you're very finely tuned what happens around you, and where you have something, what interests you, and where you have something to offer that opens a path. That's my personal experience. Stay true to things that matter to you. Actually, I think that's very tough at moments, but I think it's absolutely right. Be ambitious and go through a very intensive, painful journey.